Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Overnight, clear with a low of 60. Then on Wednesday, clouds roll in with a high of 85.
Oh, it's gone now.
Enjoy a fabulous dinner and cocktails with the best music in the Twin Cities at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive, just north of 694. More at croonersmn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, didn't cut it,
because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Native Roots
all
Radio.
My friends and relatives in 4 directions. You're listening to Native Roots.
Well, looks like we've got
Native
a little
Roots
technical
Radio.
difficulties.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll take over
Go ahead.
right now. Robert Pilot right now is in Madison, Wisconsin. He's actually at Devil's Radio, one of our affiliates at 92.7 FM. So you could check them out as well. But you're welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we discuss national and Twin Cities Native American news and events. And as we all know, Native issues are human issues and human issues are Native issues. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all your COVID-19 questions. So give them a call. And I don't know if Robert's available right now, but we usually go to Ogimaa with the news. So go ahead, Ogimaa.
Sure, no problem. Bonjour, everybody. I'm Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe. As always, I like to start the news here on Native Roots Radio with some news on the Stop Line 3 movement. Pretty excited today. After my section, we're going to have Gina Peltier on, who's going to be giving us a recap on the spiritual horse ride to Stop Line 3, which was completed by Honor the Earth. So what Honor the Earth did was they started at the headwaters and rode horse and prayed in the opposite direction that the oil flows across northern Minnesota, and to raise awareness and put down prayers. And I am really excited to have her here to give us some updates on that. So I don't want to give too much info on it. Some other news in the Stop Line 3 fight is that the criminal cases against Line 3 water protectors are stressing the rural Minnesota legal system. So what's happening right now is that there's been nearly 900 arrests during actions to delay or stop the Line 3 oil pipeline from being built in northern Minnesota. Most of those people have been cited with misdemeanors, but many have been charged with gross demeanors, and some are even facing felony charges. This is a huge strain on northern Minnesota counties where most of the protests took place. In a lot of them are waiting months for a public defender, and some water protectors are arguing that their charges are unfairly severe, which I would be inclined to agree with. From the NPR News article, Lauren Reagan, who's executive director and senior attorney at the Civil Liberties Defense Center, they're helping to represent pipeline activists, and she said that they're seeing more significant charges in the Line 3, or more serious charges with the potential for more serious punishments. And they have escalated since the protests began, even though all of the actions have been nonviolent and fairly run-of-the-mill acts of civil disobedience. So basically, the state is getting creative in sticking felonies to people who we would not otherwise expect to have felonies, she said. So this is definitely something that's been happening in Minnesota. And if you're not aware, I mean, there's Hubbard County alone is overseeing prosecution of nearly 500 Line 3 cases for water protectors, and just and I mean, that's a lot. Aiken County has seen quite a lot of them too. So, you know, Minnesota, if this is a really big stress on the legal system, maybe we could just not arrest those people who maybe aren't breaking the law, being on public property that belongs to people of the state of Minnesota. Just want to throw that out there. In other news, the Line 5 pipeline going through northern Michigan from the Detroit News. Just earlier this week, there was a panel that's been tasked with overseeing the construction and operation of a new tunnel to house Enbridge's Line 5, and they are expected to concur next month for a request on bid proposals for the tunnel's construction. However, what's happening right now is that that's not being made public. Enbridge has confirmed that a public copy of the technical document will be made available to the authority board by October 1st, but environmental groups are really pushing for the speedy disclosure because this is a huge project, and Oil and Water Don't Mix have also submitted for public records requests for the documents, but were denied the report as it only exists right now on private online software. So this tunnel is going to go under the Straits of Mackinac in the Great Lakes in northern Michigan, and they're going to pump oil from the same company that is making the Line 3 pipeline here in Minnesota under the Great Lakes in this tunnel, and claimed that it is safe when Enbridge here in Minnesota wasn't even able to complete. They're still not complete with the Line 3 project here in Minnesota, and they've already had 29 cases of frac outs with drilling fluids. So they haven't even been able to get oil into the pipe yet, and they've already had massive leaks and have done irreversible ecological damage here in Minnesota. But sure, let's put that under the Straits of Mackinac, under the Great Lakes in Minnesota, or in Michigan. You know, that sounds like a great plan. From our relatives in Canada, there's a father and son who have.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but I think there's a delay. Go ahead, Ogimaa.
Delay. Finish.
There's definitely a delay. So there's a father and son that have embarked in Canada on a 1,000-kilometer journey on foot, retracing the path their ancestors took when they escaped the residential school system. Alan Harrington and his 13-year-old son, Nation Harrington, are on a mission to promote the accountability of the Catholic Church in Canada. They're leaving from Kanasatake, a settlement in southwestern Quebec, to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and they're taking it in memory of the children who went to residential schools. So that is really, really powerful work that they are doing there. We see a lot of water walkers. We see a lot of women. I'm proud to see men stepping up to the plate there to take that walk and to get involved for our young ones. And then I want to just make sure that everybody is aware of this too. Here in Minnesota, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that lawmakers are giving up on a bipartisan police reform effort here in Minnesota. So the legislation was sparked by nationwide protests in 2020 and would have banned chokeholds and qualified immunity for law enforcement, and would have also created national accountability standards for police. However, lawmakers passed the George Floyd Justice Act in policing in March, but the law has now fizzled in the Senate. So over months of negotiations, basically this law has now been weakened past the point where it would have been meaningful. So just to give you guys an update on that, from the protests that were started here in Minnesota after the murder of George Floyd by Minneapolis police, we want to make sure that you're updated about that. It's just deeply saddening to me that we're still having to fight this long and this hard for accountability from our police forces.
And Minneapolis is still a mess, by the way, with their police union, antagonistic police union, them working with Mayor Fry. After all this, Ogimaa, it still surprises me that we still have issues with the Minneapolis police union, as well as our city council not getting their act together and figuring this out. And who pays the price? Indigenous people.
Right.
People of color pay the price, Ogimaa.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Hey, this has been a good show so far.
Awesome, Robert.
Best of.
Ready to delay? Are you with us?
I'm over the laptop right now.
Oh, good. Okay.
I think I just heard the bumper music, huh?
Yes, you have 20 seconds if you want to close the show.
Hey, I'm here in Madison. Love it. I'm going to see Governor Evers tomorrow and a lot of other politicians, and that's why I'm here at Devil Radio. And I was on the Devil Radio show, and I'm just excited to be here and excited to be anywhere. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next, Gina from Honor the Earth.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm going to jump in here because I guess Robert still has a delay. Robert, are you there? Well, we have Gina Peltier on the phone right now, and that's Ogimaa. Would you do the pleasure of introducing our next guest? I would appreciate you doing that.
Sure. Gina Peltier is a water protector, and she works with Honor the Earth. She just completed the spiritual horse ride in prayer against Line 3 with Honor the Earth, including Winona LeDuc and her family and other water protectors. So we're always really excited to have a strong Anishinaabe Ikwe on the show who can share with us what's going on. So Gina, what's the news from the North Country? How was the ride?
Oh, miigwech for having me on. Bujuanin, guys. The ride, it was a beautiful, amazing, spiritual experience. At the same time, it was also quite scary. So I was very grateful. We had a good group with us this year, and we all just bonded. But at the same time, while we're riding through the North Country, we had law enforcement plus locals who wanted to harass us. At one point, we had some local pull a gun on us and then also spit on one of our riders. So, but at the same time, with the whole thing being spiritual and with all of us just getting along as a family, it was an amazing experience. So it just kind of helped with those scary experiences. But it was quite the honor to be asked to go on this ride, and just to be able to spend, 10 days with the horses. It's another reason why we are fighting this pipeline is for our furry family, horses and our otters and all that good stuff. So I was really grateful to be able to go on this ride, especially since we were bringing awareness to stopping Line 3. It was quite interesting to see people stop us and ask us and then also be interested in why we were doing it. So we were able to spread awareness and spread the correct information to people. So it was a really, really good time.
Gina, I have a question for you. And I'm the animal person on the radio here today, and I love that you care about the animals, and you're doing this also not only for human beings but animals as well. But my question is, I'm listening to you talk. Did you have to carry your gear and tents and stuff, or were you able to find places along the route to where people hosted you to stay, or how did that work out?
Oh yeah, we were able to stay at the camps most of the ride, and then once we got farther north, there's a water protector. She is a Red Lake elder who has some property and with some horses on it, so we were able to stay up there. But yeah, we stayed at the camps, and then just a few water protector properties. So we just traveled from camp to camp into property, and it was really nice to be able to camp out there with the horses. It kind of made you feel a little more safer, with the horses around. So, and on top of that, just waking up with the other riders and the other people who were helping us and pray and have breakfast together and just start the day together. It was a good way to bond. And the fact that we all got along and there was no bumps along the way between anyone, it was amazing. It was quite exciting, to see that sense of community happen.
It sounds like a wonderful experience. How many riders were there, were they all experienced riders or were there some novices with you?
Oh yeah, there was some novice and there were some experienced. Any given day, there was between 15 to 25 riders, and we would do a relay style. So we would have our novice riders, which we called the elegant team. They would take a few miles at a slow pace. And then we'd have our middle team who would just kind of like trot. And then we had our third team who would just kind of like gallop and ride most of the miles. So it was really nice. You know, people got breaks. And, you know, if you didn't want to gallop that day, you could just, you know, be in the elegant team and just take it easy. It was really, really nice. On top of that, you know, it was amazing to see. We did have quite a few youth with us, and to see them be patient with people, the novice people, it was really heart fulfilling, heartwarming to be able to see, you know, experienced riders be patient and kind with the novice riders. Usually you see some, you know, tempers flaring and confusion and stuff like that, but it was great to see the patience and kindness between everyone.
No, that's wonderful. How about the horses? Do the horses generally get along? Because I know some horses don't get along all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a few who didn't like a few of them. So we were able and grateful and lucky enough to have some of our water protectors from South Dakota come up and bring up their horses for us to use, and they rode along with us. So we were able to switch out horses if, you know, they weren't able to continue with the ride.
Interesting. I wanted you to go back just a minute. You were saying earlier that you were talking to people on the way and, you know, telling them what you were doing and why you were doing it. And could you just go back a little bit and tell us their reaction when you told them why you were protecting water and why that was important?
In all the cases where, you know, we were riding our horses on these back roads and stuff, you know, people would come out in their yards and just kind of watch us and wave. And, you know, if we were able to, we stopped and talked to them. And all the people who wanted to chat with us in a good way, they took it very well. And they thanked us for what we were doing. And that was really reassuring, you know, especially with, you know, the negative locals who decided to, you know, not be so happy with us being there. It was really nice to know that the majority of people we came by were thankful that, you know, we're doing something to bring awareness, and very thankful that we shared information with them and the facts with them, and didn't just ignore them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gina,
Will you guys go ahead, Louis?
Yeah, Gina. Hi, Louis Eagle Thunder here. I just had a quick question. You know, we talk about you know, Iron Range and people living locally have been really, you know, there's a divide. People, you know, have got the propaganda from Inbridge saying that's just literally a line replacement. I'm wondering, in your experience with Honor the Earth and the spiritual horse ride, have you seen a change of heart with some of these people that you've encountered that maybe were a little not open to the idea of why Line 3 is a bad idea, why it threatens future generations?
Yeah, it's and that's one of the things I love about this is I've found that if we try to have a nice calm conversation with people, they're more receptive to the information. We had an incident in Bagley where a few people were upset with us because we pulled over and we were loading our horses, and they stopped and they wanted to holler at us. And one of our riders took the time to have a chat with them, and they, you know, they got this all on video. And at the end of the rider, you know, having this chat with them, their spirits changed. They weren't angry at us anymore. They were more thankful that we did take the time to explain to them why we were there, and we weren't nasty with them, or we didn't yell at them. We were just like, this is what we're doing, you know, let's have a nice conversation about it. And, you know, before they left, they, you know, thanked us and were all smiles, and they weren't as upset as they were when they first came. So that's one of the things I do love about this work is being able to have a conversation with someone who is an opposition of us, and then just to see, the light bulb turn on and be like, oh, these people, they're not so bad. The things they're saying sounds right. That what they're doing is something they should be doing. And that's one of the best things I really love about this work. It kind of makes me wish, I could have had a nice conversation with the one gentleman who pulled a gun on us, like, should we just sit down and have a conversation?
Wow.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Conversations with those people. Yes, we can hear you.
Is there an echo or a delay?
No.
You sound sultry.
Thank you, Louis. Okay, I'll let you guys. Sorry to break in this great interview. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Gina, too. A lot of what's happening with people thinking that water protectors are somehow awful or causing problems or destruction is a big part of that is because of the media. The media has been portraying us as these radicalized, violent people, when really most people, everybody that I've met so far in the Stop Line 3 movement is like yourself. We're prayerful, we're calm, we want to talk to people about why this is a problem. And I'm really, really glad that you were able to get through to some people along that ride, even if it wasn't all of the people. You got through some of the people. You must feel really proud. How are you feeling after completing the ride?
Rejuvenated. Doing this pretty much full time, working on spreading the awareness of Stopping Line 3 and being at the camps, it does get tiresome, because we get a lot of backlash. And this spiritual ride, it really felt like it just kind of rejuvenated me and restored my faith in, that we can do this.
Hey,
Gina, most of the people we did come across, they didn't know about Line 3.
Gina, do you have time to step in for another segment with us?
Yeah, most definitely.
Awesome. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and the A-Team is doing a great job. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me one. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Fine dining, walking paths, gardens, and green space, the sound of children playing, groups gathered to sing and paint, prayer groups and water aerobics classes. Those are the sights and sounds that greet you at Episcopal Homes Assisted Living. Located close to Highway 280 and University Avenue, this charming community offers studio, 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. Services to help you get through your day are provided by a compassionate care team who get to know you, what you like, and your routines, just like a second family. Stay as busy as you like attending art or exercise classes, take in live performances or a movie at the theater, gather with friends at the bistro or pub, head outside and read to the children from the on-site childcare. Episcopal Homes Assisted Living also offers memory care with specialized activities and support for those impacted by memory loss. Part of a continuum of care, Episcopal Homes has proudly been serving older adults for over 125 years. Check out episcopalhomes.org for more information.
Fall is here, and thank goodness I have my Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota. We had to move our son back to campus, and it just took one trip. More than enough room for all our college students' gear. Plus, no matter what the school year holds for us, we'll be ready. Driving our kids to and from their schools, soccer games and sports practices, band and extracurricular clubs, and of course, getting out into autumn and enjoying all the fun activities before the snow flies. The Sienna is the absolute perfect family vehicle and the most comfortable vehicle I've ever driven. Check out the Sienna at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of downtown Minneapolis on 394.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weeknights for an in-depth look at politics and current events on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, here to share some information about our 5 for 25 drive program. We ask customers to take 5 minutes to review their experience with us, and we donate $25 to a local nonprofit of their choice. So far, our 5 for 25 drive has raised close to $50,000. Thanks to all of you out there who've taken part in this ongoing program. Find out more about our 5 for 25 drive program at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, and I'd like to tell you why you should choose us for all your printing needs. While it's true Minuteman Press Uptown provides the highest quality printing services and graphic design, there's another important reason why you should choose us. We share your values. We believe our employees are a vital part of our success. At Minuteman Press Uptown, I set out to create jobs with a living wage and benefits. I believe in second chances for people who've made mistakes in the past. We're a proud union shop and would love to earn your business.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Frank and his team at Minuteman Press Uptown are AM 950's go-to for all printing and promotional needs. I was blown away by the knowledge and passion Minuteman Press Uptown had to help me grow my business. Even if you're not sure where to start, their graphic design team can create an effective campaign and strategy to increase your visibility. So choose a print shop who shares your values. They work with businesses, nonprofits, and political campaigns. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Overnight, clear with a low of 60. Then on Wednesday, clouds roll in with a high of 85. Enjoy a fabulous dinner and cocktails with the best music in the Twin Cities at Crooner Supper Club in Fridley. Crooners is off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive, just north of 694. More at croonersmn.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are elusive. Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. And this portion is brought to you by...
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. Robert, I really need you here with me. In the home studio, I feel a little bit disconnected. I think we all do, but I don't think you have your delay anymore, so that's good.
Yeah, well, how do I sound? This is like the same headset that Ogimaa has. Sounds fantastic. Awesome.
Fantastic, yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, you guys take over the interview, and I'll sit here like a potted plant. You guys are doing a great job.
Appreciate it, boss.
I don't know what kind of plant you are.
Well, we have Gina back on here. Ogimaa or Wendy, do you mind taking over here?
Yeah, we'll let Ogimaa introduce Gina again. Thank you, Ogimaa.
Right. So we're back on Native Roots Radio with Gina Peltier, who works for Honor the Earth. Honor the Earth just completed a spiritual horse ride to stop the Line 3 pipeline in northern Minnesota. So they rode against the flow of oil along the pipeline route, I believe, from the headwaters to the North Dakota border where the pipeline comes into Minnesota. Is that right, Gina?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All the way to the Red River.
To the Red River, yes. How many miles was that exactly? I guess I didn't look that one up, but how many miles did you take the horses and your crew?
Well, I know it was at least 30 miles a day. So about around 300 miles.
Wow, that's really, really intense. And we were just talking about in the last section, so if you're just tuning in here, there was some people who were not so welcoming to the horse riders, including somebody who pulled a firearm on the water protectors and other people who had, I believe the gentleman who pulled a firearm also spit on one of the water protectors in a pandemic. Was that right?
Yeah, I think so. It was either that person or the person who was riding in his little four-wheeler with him. But it was the same crew.
I can't even get behind the level of hate that those people have to have. You know, I mean, there's been 900 of us arrested. Most of the people on the ride, I'm assuming, were Native people who are already facing harassment in most of the counties in northern Minnesota on a daily basis, whether they're water protectors or not. So for them to come and just be so hateful, I mean, what was their reasoning? Did they come and track you down specifically? Did they believe you were somehow trespassing? Did they give any sort of inclination as to why they would come up and do something so terrible?
They knew who we were, and they basically did just come to harass us. So just people who are in opposition of us and don't believe in what we're doing. I'm pretty sure there are people who probably own land and are getting paid by Enbridge to be able to use their land. So, yeah, it's just very unfortunate, that they had to be so violent like that. This is a spiritual ride, and none of us were violent. We were just minding our own business. And they just kind of rode up on their little ATV kind of thing and just started harassing us, hollering at us. And once we asked them to go away, they pulled a gun and started spitting on us. And it was a very unfortunate incident, that things like that happen.
And what county were you in, or I guess what were you nearest to that people might know where this happened?
It was in the Bagley Clearbrook area. So we were kind of prepared because they're usually not that friendly towards us in that area.
Right. Well, it's just mysterious to me that the Bagley Clearbrook area is where you received the most hate. And that was the area that Ron Turney from the Indigenous Environmental Network just recently re-exposed the massive frack out that they had in that area. Were you able to see that as part of your ride, or was that still heavily guarded?
So we saw on our ride when we hit around Coffee Pot Landing, there was a frack out over there. So we didn't want to bring our horses down to that area, so we just kind of bypassed it. But some of us were able to meet up with Ron and see some of the footage. But I know on Sunday, there was that big old frack out in Bagley, and I was up there with them, and I got to see some of Ron's footage as well. So it's pretty devastating. And you'd think, with it being in that area, people wouldn't be so angry that we're there, but they're seeing it firsthand and they still don't understand the negative effects that's going to happen from all this. It's really sad.
Gina, this is Robert. Can you tell our audience how we can keep an eye on what Honor the Earth is doing, or how to support Honor the Earth too before we let you go on this segment?
Yeah, most definitely. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and then go to stopline3.org. That's where we are taking our donations for this fight that we're in. And then just share all of our information with anyone you can. Talk about us, brag about us to your mailman, to your clerk, to your grandma, to your auntie. That's what I do. I mean, I even have chatted with the people who changed my oil, and they took it really well, because I told them, we have enough in our oil reserves to last us 40 years on current consumption. So their jobs are safe, and I give them all the facts, and I come at them in a good way. And they change my oil, and at first they look at me like I'm crazy, but talking to them and giving them the facts, now when I go change my oil, they're all happy to see me, and I have changed some of their minds to, support Stopping Line 3, even though they work, what they do for a living is changing oil. So, talk to anybody you can about it and just promote, Honor the Earth, and check up with us daily on our Facebook and Instagram.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you, Peeny Gigi, for what you do, what Honor the Earth does, and all the other groups out there. And Peeny Gigi, thank you so much for being on our show.
Miigwech, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, totally awesome. Wow, Lewis, your thoughts. What a great guest. We miss Nancy, but all these people that are front line, Lewis and Ogimaa and Wendy, they're telling us what's happening from the horse's mouth, so to speak, right, Lewis?
Yeah, and if I could have just a minute to say this, I want to honor our Wiya, right? Our Wiya is what we call in Lakota, our women leaders, like Gina, like day in, day out, people up there are strong women that are leading the charge against Line 3, occupying Indigenous activist spaces, and even on Native Roots Radio, Wendy Pilot out there, doing the good work, and Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe, such a beautiful name for such an amazing activist out there doing the good work. And I honor you, Ogimaa, because time and time again, you put in the work that no one sees for Native Roots Radio, and you're out there spreading the good word. You make connections with people like Gina and all of your niche relatives up there, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful in any way, but I totally respect our relatives up there fighting that good fight and being ground zero on this issue. And it's so great to have someone like you that's a leader. That Ogimaa name, that beautiful name, means leader, doesn't it, Ogimaa?
Yeah, I believe the translation of my name when I was given was Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe, and it translates to strong golden eagle woman. It was a name that was gifted to me by Adam Lusher as an infant in Red Lake, Minnesota. Adam has since passed on, but I remember being in my late teens, early 20s, and I was given this name, but unfortunately I didn't get much connection to the culture about it. And I remember seeing a traditional healer, Skip Sandman, and he challenged me upon meeting me and asking me what my name was. And he shook his finger at me and he said, "What have you been doing for your name lately?" My name is one that means that I am supposed to be doing these types of things. So I'm proud, and some days exhausted, and some days heartbroken, and some days absolutely joyful for the work that I'm doing. I don't feel as if I have the choice to stand down in this fight and the work that I'm doing here. As an Anishinaabe woman, as somebody who is a member of Red Lake Nation and who has relatives and people that I care deeply about in this fight, whose water stands to be damaged, whose wild rice stands to go extinct. I mean, this is everything that our tribes migrated to this area for. And we can't back down on this. I mean, people, I think that we're choosing this life, and in a way we are, but in so many ways we are not choosing it, because even if we were not fighting, we would still feel it. And we have to do whatever we can to make this the most important thing for other people that can help us do things about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to give sorry, go ahead, Robert.
I was just going to say, I want to echo what Lewis said. The women lead the way, and I was really great to hear from Gina. And Stephanie wrote on our chat that she 40-year reserve. I had no idea. Thanks for teaching. And I think that's what we try to do, is amplify all the voices we can, including our own Ogimaa and Lewis and Wendy, to what's going on in Turtle Island. So I feel like it's successful there, Lewis.
Yeah, I know we don't have time because we're running against the break and we got sacred animal news, but I wanted to give a shout to Chita Shaw Wiyan, who is the director of the American Indian Movement in Oklahoma. She is filing a lawsuit with a petition, the United States Supreme Court, against the ICWA law that's being challenged in Texas. And another indigenous woman that's leading the way, Chita Shaw Wiyan in Lakota, means Red Hawk woman. And that's another leader out there fighting that good fight against ICWA. And one of these days we should maybe do a little bit more talking about ICWA and how it challenges us to be more of a racial people, which takes away our inherent rights as sovereignty. But again, Wopila Tonka to all our women indigenous leaders out there putting in that good work.
Yeah, and it's great, that I just want to say we got less than a minute left, and then we're going to have our sacred animal section with our sacred relative section with Wendy. But I just want to say that, I learn stuff on this show all the time. I just want to throw that out there, and I just learned that. I really appreciate that. Wendy, you want to take us out?
Yes, you've been listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next, our sacred animal section with moi, Hanajihihani, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, semi-host here in Madison, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Oh,
there's that delay again.
Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm gonna pass this over to Lewis because I wanted him to give us a little bit more information on ICWA. I was going to be talking about silly bear information, which I can do at the end if I have time, and if not, I just want everyone to stay tuned because tomorrow I have a really heartfelt letter that I'm going to be reading from a veterinarian, and the veterinarian took 3 years to write this short letter to let people know about the crisis that we're facing here in the United States about the homeless dog and cat population. So I will be bringing that to you tomorrow, and I want everybody to take a listen to this letter. It's really something else. But let's go to Lewis.
Thank you so much, Wendy, and I really appreciate just the couple seconds I have here. And I just wanted to, echo what I said a little bit earlier. Chitan Shawiyan, director of the American Indian Movement in Oklahoma chapter, is petitioning the United States Supreme Court to hold ICWA together. What is ICWA and why is it important? ICWA stands for the Indian Child Welfare Act, and that was an act in 1978 that was enacted federally to make sure that children, indigenous children, go to indigenous homes. Before ICWA passed, over 35 to 40% of indigenous children were being forcibly assimilated to non-indigenous homes. The state of Texas has decided to challenge the constitutionality of ICWA, claiming it's a race-based system based on preferential treatment towards indigenous children. The back end of it is that they want to Christianize and actually assimilate a lot of these indigenous children. And racializing ICWA has long-term effects. What the long-term effects are is that if they successfully petition the United States Supreme Court to make ICWA a race-based system, therefore delegitimate, guess what else happens? Our treaty rights, our sovereign, our inherent rights as indigenous people go away, because then they racialize us as indigenous people, and every type of treaty, nation-to-nation treaty, is now null and void, because now we are simply a race, not nations that have a nation-to-nation relationship with the United States government. It's important to think about ICWA. It's important to be educated about what the state of Texas is doing, not only on the abortion front, but on ICWA as well, delegitimizing our sovereign status as indigenous people, the First Nations here in the Western Hemisphere. And I want to give a shout out to all the leadership, all the people on the back end doing all that work. Sorry about that, Wendy. I didn't want to take up too much time.
No, that's okay. And I have a question. I don't know if you can answer this, but what about the Supreme Court? Can the Supreme Court do anything about this? What is happening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Supreme Court is they have a response to the tribal petition filed by the plaintiffs due October 8th. And at that point, they can bring up the argument and the validity of this argument with the state of Texas and put it on the docket of the Supreme Court. Or the plaintiffs, as well as the American Indian movement and all these tribes, can say, look, this has nothing to do with the state of Texas. The state of Texas can petition all they want, but this is a federal issue between tribes, between sovereign nations, and everything with indigenous people, as we know from the Marshall Trilogy, which was Cherokee versus Georgia, was that we are federal, under federal trust responsibility, which means that indigenous people have a sovereign nation-to-nation relationship. So it is unconstitutional to even bring this up to the Supreme Court, but they want to do it to force indigenous children in foster care to go to white families to basically Christianize them again. This is 1930s, 1940s, 1960s scoop happening once again if we allow it to happen.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Serious situation. What can the general public do about it? Can they write their representatives and legislators and?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what would be great is to write to your legislator, your senator, your federal senator. Here would be Amy Klobuchar, and just basically say, look. We need to protect ICWA. ICWA is important to us as not only indigenous people, but if you're an ally out there, an ally that understands that cultural practices that have been threatened for 529 years of continued occupation of the Western Hemisphere is threatened by reversing ICWA, that these cultural practices are as significant as white cultural practices, that the indigenous people should be treated just the same respect as white people when it comes to our culture and our religion.
There you go. Everybody get in touch with your senators and let them know how you feel about this, whether you're indigenous, Native American, or an ally. Just do it.
Yeah, good call. The 60 scoop, I was part of that, and I know that's from Canada too, but to erase us is to get rid of us, not know who we are, and then we end up being not part of what we call the tribe. And so it's very important because the domino effect, Lewis, if Texas can get away with this and start stealing our babies again, any state can.
And we already have broken relationships with government and state agencies. You look at South Dakota itself, they have took an antagonistic approach towards foster care, towards taking children from any type of mess up you have, anything light, like you're working 2 jobs. They can challenge your legitimacy as a parent and then take that child away from you. And there's long-standing cases that parents have had with trying to get their children back. Even when ICWA has been enacted. So, we understand the 60 scoop. We understand this is what we call generational trauma brought onto us by the settler colonial system that wants to make indigenous people completely erased from the planet, because we are a sore. We are a reminder of their illegal occupation and the genocide and Holocaust that they've continued to do to our people. And this is a direct threat and a a continuation of that genocide policy, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have put it any better. I really appreciate that, Lewis and Wendy, talking about this. It needs to be talked about more, especially with what Texas is trying to do. We're still here. We are still here.
And
Absolutely.
Texas is going to be a gateway, like Lewis said. They're the first ones who are starting with the, abortion ban, and there's other states looking at Texas right now and saying, "Oh, what can we do?" But there's other states like here in Minnesota. When we talk to Mary Kunish and we talk to our people here, they're seeing what's happening and they're putting task forces and things in place so that won't happen here in Minnesota. And that's what we need to support. We need to support the people who are not going to be following in Texas footsteps.
Absolutely. We need our allies. We need our political allies. Mary Kunish, all these people that you hear on Native Roots Radio are fighting tirelessly on the back end to ensure that Indigenous children, at least in the state of Minnesota, we have listeners in Wisconsin and Chicago that need to get involved as well with their legislation and say ICWA is important today. It was important in 1978, and it's going to live on to be important to protect that seventh generation.
Wow, perfect. And I really appreciate you stepping up and talking about this, Lewis. This is such a huge thing. And Wendy, thank you for bowing out on your sacred animal section
Absolutely.
today. It's a big deal.
I'll take double time tomorrow. That's okay.
Yeah, awesome. So hey, it's great to have such a team like you, Ogimaa, and Wendy. Where when I'm in a foreign country like Madison here, that you guys can take over and do a great job. I really appreciate you all. Wendy, take it from here.
We'll be back tomorrow. Stay tuned. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
We're still here.
Hi, this is Laura.